Welcome to the Last Drop Sobriety Podcast, where I get the privilege to interview recovering addicts and alcoholics who have maintained their sobriety. These individuals have achieved great success while staying sober, inspiring all of us to overcome challenges and to achieve our goals. So whether you're someone seeking recovery, have years of sobriety, or someone who supports a sober lifestyle, the Last Drop is your source of motivation, inspiration, and hope today. I am your host, Tim O'Connor. Please join us as we celebrate the Last Drop, the moment where everything changes and the real journey begins. Be sure to head over to thelastdropclothingco.com to check out the newest drop today. What is happening, everyone, and welcome to the Last Drop Sobriety Podcast, where we celebrate the incredible journeys of individuals who have embraced a sober lifestyle and found strength, resilience, and purpose with the process. I'm your host, Tim O'Connor, and on today's episode number 14, we have a sober woman from New York who's inspiring and coaching other sober curious women from all over the United States, and she is also a Virgo. Miss Michelle B., also known as @Sober Virgo Woman on Instagram, is with us today. Michelle, thank you so much for being on here. How are you doing?
Hi, thank you so much. And actually, I'm also inspiring the world.
The
so
world,
not just
yeah.
our country, but the
Men
world.
and women.
Yeah, that's what we're both doing, actually.
Yes, yeah, I love it. Love it. How was your week? What have you been doing this week?
Well, I'm a school teacher, and we actually had off today, so that was really nice. So we had a 3-day weekend.
Nice.
So I'm actually going to a really awesome yoga retreat tomorrow with meditation, and I'm going to meet, actually I heard that one of the women that are going to be there is loving mocktails. So I'm very excited to meet her and talk about our love of them. And the yoga retreat's pretty close to where I live. I live in a really beautiful mountainous area. Okay. So I don't have to drive too far, and I get to meet new women, and it's going to be really beautiful. So I'm excited.
That's cool. How long is the retreat?
It's 3 days, but I actually found out about it a little bit later. So I'm just going for on Saturday, and then Sunday hot yoga as usual, and then my husband and I will probably do something. I want to actually grab some corned beef and ham. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. For St. Patty's Day, for St. Party's Day.
Yeah. And party for food.
Party for food. Yeah, right. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, yoga retreats are great. I've learned so much. My wife, actually, her and I went to like a weekend yoga retreat last summer. And it was like, I learned so much about meditation during that retreat that I still use to this day, because like meditation is a big part of my recovery, and like I would love to get into yoga more. I'm not super flexible, and whenever I try to do yoga, I'm just like, my body just doesn't move the way that it used to move, you know? And that's also another reason why I would love to do more yoga, just to like help my body out, you know? And it's just, I find that bringing a practice like yoga and meditation into recovery is so helpful with so many things, you know?
Yeah, I will definitely say I've always loved yoga. However, I didn't really get into yoga until I discovered hot yoga. Bikram yoga. So that was really the biggest thing for me. But then also, like, it's really just about a lot of meditation is just about your breath. And a lot of people have a hard time like with thoughts being there, but it's okay for those thoughts to be there. Just continue coming back to your breath, And like, if you need a challenge, for me, like hot yoga is great because there's no time to think about anything, because I'm like focusing on my pose or my sweating or my breathing. But, a lot of what we do in hot yoga is like, preparing yourself for the outside world, those struggles and those things that we're dealing with. It's going to make it easier as much as we don't realize it. Like teaches you patience and dedication and self, and relying on yourself as well and trusting in yourself.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm doing this new thing where I bring topics into every podcast. I try to tie the topic into your story and the things that I have seen from your like content. And like one thing I noticed when I was looking through your content is you had a post about accountability. And so I thought today the a good topic for us would be accountability in sobriety, right? So I like to define the word because I'm a nerd like that, and I just
Do
think
it.
it's
I'm a
important.
teacher. I love it. Do it.
Yeah, right. It's good. It's good to understand what the meaning is, right? So accountability in the American dictionary is defined as the quality or state of being accountable, or subject to giving an account. The first example or first definition is a statement of explaining one's one's conduct. She was asked to give an account of her actions. The second one is a statement or exposition of reasons, causes, or motives. No satisfactory account of these phenomena. And the last one is a reason for action, which I really like that. It's like, on the account, I must refuse. So the first question for you is what does accountability in sobriety mean to you?
Okay. So I actually had a completely different answer, but after you reading that definition, I really love the example that you gave, because in the beginning when I was drinking, I had no accountability. No accountability. I did not realize I didn't have accountability. And another part of it, like a biggest thing, is that I was putting it on other people. I was making other people be accountable for my actions. So, for example, putting it on other people's accountability, like when I was drinking, it was other people that were suffering, right? Or dealing with me when I was drinking, or having to drive me someplace, or, I was affecting their life. That song, I'm drunk and I don't want to go home, like, all me, 100%. I still like singing it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, for sure.
That was 100% me. One of the things I used to do when my husband would say, like, oh, you drank too much or whatever, I would be like, just take me out of the bar. Like, why can't you just pick me up and, like, take me out of the bar? Just throw me over your shoulder, right?
Sure.
And, like, bring me home. Like, I don't know what your problem is, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know what your problem is.
Yeah,
right?
You weren't taking responsibility.
Right. Like, why was I putting that on him? But I also, when I was drinking, right, like, I was also doing dumb things, and I wasn't making good decisions.
Yeah, me too.
Right? I didn't realize that. One of our activities, one of the things we do in our family is we have Christmas Eves. And someone's always drunk on Christmas Eve.
Yep.
And it was usually me. And it was kind of like a funny thing. And then the past few Christmas Eves, my family they're like, oh my God, like, this is so amazing. This is not like, you don't realize, like, how much you're affecting other people until you stop drinking,
Yes.
and until I was ready to be responsible for my own actions, did I realize that. And that is, like, such a huge part of being able to get sober and, like, being on that journey, like, that self-awareness. So the women that I coach and the women that are in the Sober Girls Social Club, I mean, number one is that self-awareness, like, having accountability for yourself, like, saying, hey, like, I don't want to continue being hungover. Like, I don't want to continue.
That's good.
Right? I don't want to continue to, like, get wasted in front of my kids. I don't want to continue, like, getting drunk the night before, and now I'm hungover, and now I'm having a shitty day. Like, I'm not feeling well for the first part of the day. Like, I have a headache. Like, people don't want to deal with that anymore. They're sober curious. They're trying to, like, figure out, what am I doing? How can I change this?
Yeah.
And until you get to that point, it's very hard. Like, for years, people were like, I think you have a problem. And I was like, you. Yeah. Oh, am I allowed to curse? Probably. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay, sorry.
It's all good.
Okay, good. Because I gave you a verbal and a nonverbal feeling about that. So.
Yeah, no, you're good. No worries.
Okay,
Keep it coming.
Yeah. So, okay, awesome. So anyway, so I so people would say those kinds of things and I didn't believe them. I didn't really think I had a problem. It's their
No.
problem, not my problem, right? I'm
Yeah.
sure you can relate to that as well.
100%. Yes.
Yeah. And
It's like,
go ahead.
and that was like the hardest part, right? Is like, and I look back on it and I hadn't realized like how much denial I was in about my drinking. And like I'd show up to holidays and all my family would be there and I'd show up with like 2 6-packs and I'd have some other stuff with me and I'd be like, hey, I'm gonna have a good time and not care about anyone in this room,
Yeah.
and then they would have to deal with me and I'm the one like making an idiot of myself. And it's like I was not taking any accountability for my actions because I thought that it was just their problem because they, couldn't understand where I was at because I'm so like, oh yeah, I'm having such a good time. But if you guys could just get on my level, you would understand. And like, that's never, I look back on some of those situations and I'm like, dude, what? Like, I was a terrible person,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, no, that's good. So how do you keep yourself accountable today in sobriety?
So being a sober coach was an opportunity that I was given after I stopped moderating. And it was something that I had gotten in 2021, but I didn't feel like I had enough sobriety behind me at that time. And then I was asked to be a sobriety coach after I stopped moderating. And I was like, oh my gosh, like if I become a sobriety coach, like I can drink. So I can drink. If I couldn't drink, we would not be here right now, but I can drink.
Yeah.
But I chose not to drink. And if I chose not to drink, then I knew that I couldn't have those once in a while, like every 3 to 6 months, making big dumb mistakes or big dumb mistakes more often, or putting my life in jeopardy or other people's life in jeopardy. But I didn't realize I was doing that. So becoming a sobriety coach was definitely, I knew that that's what I had to do because I needed that, like, I needed to have somebody else. I needed to, like, cause I love helping people, right? I'm a teacher. So like, if I can help other people, like sold,
Yes.
I'm on board. And then,
Totally.
and then after that, and being on a podcast about moderation, people started reaching out to me and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm turning this into a business. Like people need this, people need me. And I am so honored and and excited to do it because not only does it help me, but like I get to share my story with the world. I get to share what works for me. I get to share what doesn't work for me. I also get to share like my love of sobriety, and like I hated the word sober. I hated the word sobriety. And I still won't say like I'm never drinking again. I still won't say that.
Oh yeah, no, definitely not.
Still like gives me anxiety. But I think about right here and right now, this moment, right? Like mocktails are delicious.
Yes.
And it's the same thing. And I'm like still having a fun time and I'm still having a great time and I'm socializing and I'm not getting wasted and I'm not like putting poison in my body, which again, I noticed too. I didn't realize I was doing that.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Like, and that's the thing. You don't realize like what you're doing when you're doing it.
No.
And like, I didn't know that there were these other options out there. I thought it was like AA, rehab, nothing else. Like, no.
Right.
So one of my big this is toast.
Okay.
So toast is delicious. So I was a Prosecco girl.
Okay.
And you can see that like nothing's changed. I'm still having a grand old time. I still have a beautiful glass. Came
That's
from
awesome.
TJ Maxx. Still got the lipstick on the glass. Nothing's changed.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So
does it
go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, you're good. So with being a sobriety coach, does that, like you were saying, it helps you stay accountable. Do you feel like helping others also helps you stay accountable because you're like, I know I have to stay sober because I'm being an example today, right?
Yes, but I don't feel like I have to stay sober. I want to stay sober. I want to be sober because
Love
my
it.
life,
Love that.
yeah, when I was drinking, I could not think of one reason not to drink. Like I
Mhm.
said, how am I going to socialize? How am I going to go to any events? How am I going to function at
Yeah.
different things? How am I going to get through the night? How am I going to go out to dinner? Like, how am I going to do anything? Like,
Mhm.
how am I going to deal with my kids? Like, how am I going to deal with this? How am I going to deal with that? However, like I was convinced I was just going to bowl and do puzzles. And I'm sure bowling and doing puzzles are super great. But I was like, my life's going to be so boring. I'm going to be the dorky person, like not drinking at the event. And now I'm like,
Yes.
sober!
Yeah.
Because you're
Yes. Hell yeah.
present. You are present in your life.
Mhm.
And the other thing too is I can relate to my clients. Like that is one of my favorite things, right? So like when
Yeah.
my clients are sharing a story, right? Like, so for example, here's a little example. So I had a client the other day and she was like, well, I drank because I went to my my boss's brother's party, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. But like, she didn't need a reason to drink. She said it was because she was at this party, right?
Is why she drank. Yeah.
Right. However, when you're drinking, you don't need a reason to drink. I could drink because you're wearing a sweatshirt, because you're wearing glasses,
Yes.
because it's cold outside, because you know, because I have earrings on. Like I don't need a reason. I didn't need a reason to drink. Like I
No.
was drinking
No.
because it was 4 o'clock, because it was sunny, because it was cloudy. Like I could drink for what I was drinking for whatever reason. Not every day, all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mostly
Yeah.
every night, right? I want to make
Mhm.
dinner. I want to have a fancy drink with dinner. A drink. I want to, I feel stressed. I feel sad. I feel excited. I want to celebrate. I'm like
Yeah.
teasing, whatever. And now I can't think of one reason to drink.
Right.
Right.
And it's like
And
that
it's
shift.
insane
It's that shift,
mindset.
right? Like
Mm-hmm.
once you realize, like, and this is how it was for me, is once I realized that like I have a choice. Like I have a choice whether I'm going to do something or not do something. And it's like, yeah, I can't think of one reason to drink today or to use today, because it's just like there's nothing to drink or use over. Like if I can't face these things sober, then like doing it while I was like under the influence was literally just because like I was uncomfortable with the situation. And a lot of times like I was uncomfortable with myself, and so I needed to get comfortable. And a lot like the only reason, or the only way that I could do that was by using and getting wasted, you know? And excuse me, there's like, for me there's no reason to, there's no good reason to pick up a drink or to use today, because it's just like I don't see like why it would be fun. And I don't know why I justified like why drinking was fun, because it's like I had fun for a couple hours and then the whole next day was shot, and then I had to use or drink more because I felt like terrible, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about that for 100 years, because what I want to say to that is because it's such a societal norm. But
Yes.
there is a gigantic shift from
Mm,
2019 to now. Like any kind of research you do, you will see that like not just you, but like people in general, like just do the research on your own. Like just sober communities alone have like
yeah.
blown up. It's insane. I always could find a dry January back then from maybe like a couple, the dry January. So if you're looking to like moderate, or if you want to try to stop drinking, for those of you that don't know what that is, like
Yeah.
there's dry months where like you don't drink. And there was maybe like one or two companies that you could find that did it. Like Recovery Elevator did it. This Naked Mind did it by Annie Grace. And like now
Mm,
there's so many, because so many people are trying to get there.
yes.
And I want to go, back to what you said with, how am I dealing with,
Oh, how
uh,
how are you keeping yourself accountable?
oh yeah. Okay. So, but there's something else too. I'll figure it out. So mocktails
Okay, okay.
is the biggest thing. So this is toast. So this has been around. You can get it in your grocery stores. I don't have a promo code with it yet. I'm sure I will soon. Cause I just love them and they're always wonderful. They actually sent me a few free cases because I have an event coming up.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
as a sobriety coach, I go to different events. So please let me know if you want me to come do your event. I've done the Women's Expo. I've done a beauty ball in Long Island. I also have another one coming up in a couple weeks. I'm going to probably do the yoga festival that's around here in July. So what
Oh,
I do
that's
is
so
I
cool.
bring like lots of free mocktails that I love. So like it's not just Heineken 0.0 people and a Shirley Temple. Like nope. Look, fancy glass. Be all fun. So this is toast. So this is bubbly. It's sparkling white tea, ginger, and elderberry. It contains no alcohol. And the first 4 ingredients are carbonated water, cane sugar, white tea, white cranberry concentrate.
Oh, that's
Elderberry,
awesome.
yeah. So like great, sparkly, fun, right? Like look at the cute bottle.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's part of it too, is like whenever I go somewhere and I'm doing stuff with friends, it's always like I want to have something in my hand, like whether it's like a soda water or a soda, and it's like the closer it is to a drink, and like, whether it's like in a bottle, and because that was just my go-to since I was like 18 years old. I always had a beer in my hand. I always had a drink in my hand. And it was like, if I was at a party or around people, I had something that was like helping me be more social. And it's just not having that thing in my hand was like, it's just so weird. It's like, what is, and so when I go out today and I'm doing stuff with my friends or family, like I love ginger beer. I like, doing like the seltzer water with like cranberry and some lime. Like I do something that gets like, at least it looks like something, or like, if
this whole like thing.
yeah, and it's just like our brains are programmed because, I love drinking and partying, and it's like I gotta have something in my hand. So like if I at least have something and it's non-alcoholic, I feel like a lot better. And I also know like I'm not gonna get arrested after I drive home after this. And also like I'm probably gonna feel a lot better tomorrow morning when I wake up for work at 6 o'clock in the morning. Like I'm not gonna be hungover,
Yeah.
And so
and also I just finished this bottle. And what I want to say, if I was drinking a regular bottle, if this was Prosecco, this would give me major anxiety.
yes.
I'd probably like go find something else in my house or drive or ask someone
To
else
go
to
get
go get
more.
it for me. Right. But now I'm like, fine, normal. Like, look, totally fine, normal. Okay. And listen,
Yes.
it did not happen overnight. I have a lot of tools
No.
in my jewelry box instead of tools in my toolbox. So the
Nice.
other
I like
thing
that.
besides mocktails, so like toast, recess, mingle, curious elixirs, moment, like all of those sound amazing. You can get them. You can honestly get the majority of them actually on my link tree because I have some promo codes, which I'm super excited about. I'm very because it's so exciting. Everyone's feeling this way. Like I promise you people, like once you
Totally.
get into the sober community, like it is gigantic and so big. I promise you. Like, right?
And it's
Tell them.
welcoming too, It's cool because even just on social media, it's crazy to see how many people are out there doing sober coaching and like talking about a sober lifestyle. And it's like, when I was first getting sober, the first thing that really came to my mind is like, who am I going to hang out with? Like, who are going to be my new friends that are living this lifestyle? Because I only know who like the people I wanted to hang out with
Yeah, my
were, right?
grandma,
And
who am I hanging out with?
yeah, like am I gonna just hang out with my parents and just be weird around them all the time, And there's so many people in this community, and it's like that's why we're
Especially
doing
now.
these things. Yeah, especially now. Like it's growing, and it's a beautiful thing to see that like sobriety is starting to come up as this like people are realizing like drinking is not healthy for you.
Yeah.
Drinking is not good for you. Like it is a thing that has been normalized to the point of
100%.
where yeah, and it's like it's crazy because it's, and this isn't the 50s or 60s, like we're not in prohibition anymore, people. Like drinking is just as bad as smoking cigarettes, like I've said before, right?
Yeah,
Just like you were saying.
I swear, I know this is crazy, and I know some of you are gonna like laugh, but I know a lot of you that are, if you're in the sober community and you're hearing this, you're probably just gonna like get on board with this, and if you're not, you're gonna be like, yeah, right, Michelle, you're out of your fucking mind. But I just told Tim earlier that I am convinced, because what I've seen from 2019 to now, I am convinced that alcohol is going to be the new cigarettes. And like
Yeah.
cigarettes used to be everywhere. You could, like right now, right? Alcohol is pushed in a bar. Alcohol is pushed in so many places. There's a cocktail list on your on your table when you
Menus
get
and
there.
stuff.
Or
Yeah.
like, can I
Hmm.
start you out with a drink? Yeah, you can start me out with a drink, a fucking seltzer and a wine glass, because it's still a drink.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
But anyway, so like it's just so pushed. So I'm convinced that it is because the data is coming out about it, right? You can't fight the numbers. Like
No.
you can fight what you want, but like the data and the statistics, like I learned a lot of the science with alcohol from the book by Dr. Brooke Scheller, How to Eat to Change What You Drink. This Naked Mind by Annie Grace. Like there's so much quitlet out there too. Oh my gosh. So let me actually stay on that topic for just 1 second, because
Yeah. Yeah.
that's another part of how I got so accountable. I only have like 2 of them right here. I can of course go grab them. But this
Yeah.
so the one I just said is How to Eat to Change What You Drink by Dr. Brooke Scheller. She's got
Okay.
the science in there. She talks about her story. She talks about labeling. Like, you do not have to call yourself an alcoholic. You do not have to say you are sober. You can just do what you want to do. Like, I hate
That's
the
awesome.
word. Yeah, like, I hated the word sober. I still hate the word alcoholic. I don't identify with it, and that's okay. That's okay. Like, you guys have to do what you want to do. You have to do what's going to work for you. Tim and I were talking about this.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
And it goes back to the stigma of it too, right? Because when I first heard like, oh, you're probably an addict or you're probably an alcoholic, I was like, oh my God, dude, like that is morally like it's demoralizing, right? Like I'm like, dude, am I just some like gonna turn into some junkie that's living on the street
yeah,
and who's trying to like drink pints of alcohol every day? And like, and still for me too, there's a deep like understanding of the word addict now, but before that, like I was terrified of being called an addict or
yeah,
even like associating with the idea of like, oh, I'm an addict, and it's just for the people who are listening, it's because of the stigma of addiction that
100%.
why that word or why the word alcoholic is so terrible or so terrifying, because it's like the world makes addicts and alcoholics look like a bad thing when in
Right,
reality, like, it doesn't have to be. And
right.
you don't have to call yourself an addict or an alcoholic. Like, you don't have to do that at all.
Yeah, I did try AA for a little while, and it did not work for me, and it also scared the shit out of me if I was going to have to come someplace every single day. And listen, it works for some
Yes.
people, and that's amazing. If it works for you, that's what matters, right? I'm a teacher, right? If you need to sit on the floor and you need to sit at that desk, or you need to sit in that like little bouncy chair, like, go for it. Like, what is going to work for you? I'm also a special ed teacher, so I'm doing a lot of differentiating all the time. But
Totally.
this is
Yeah.
what people need. Like, and a lot of love, right? Like, number one is love. It's the same thing in life. Like, you need love, and you need to know that you are worth it and that you matter. And that,
Mm.
a lot of families are struggling because they're drinking in front of their kids all their time, and they're not thinking about that, right? They're not thinking like,
Mm.
what does this look like in front of my kid?
Yeah.
But like, you're teaching them, not intentionally, but like,
Mhm.
mommy needs a drink at the end of the day. Daddy needs a drink. Grandma needs a drink, right? Like,
Yeah.
you don't need it. You think you need it. And I thought I needed it too.
Yeah. Me
Like,
too. Yes.
I think the best way to like explain to people like a bit of like sobriety. So if you have like a bucket list and you say like, one day I'm going to do this, one day I'm going to do that, sobriety gives you that like availability.
Yes.
Like, it's
I
so
love
easy.
that.
It's like, or the other way I like to explain it is like, when you're hungover, right? You feel like shit in the morning. You're filled with shame. You're filled with embarrassment. Even if you're not filled with shame, you at least probably feel a little shitty, right? A little dehydrated.
Yeah.
Just like minor, right? Like, now, so as the day goes by, right, you start to feel better and better, and you might want to drink
Yes.
or quote unquote hair of the dog or whatever. That's what
Yeah.
sobriety is like. Sobriety is like you getting better and better,
Yes.
finding things that you lost,
Yes.
like getting the
Doing things you want to do.
Exactly. Nobody left a dish. Now if somebody leaves a mess in the sink, I'm pretty sure I know who did it.
Yeah.
Or like anything like that, right? Like you
Mhm.
start realizing these things, and like time and money, oh my God. You don't get
Totally
your time back.
changes.
You don't get your money back, but shit, like my account's not negative so much anymore.
No, I'm not worried about like withdrawing and getting withdrawal fees in my bank account anymore,
Ask them to
Reimburse. Like, give
Yeah.
me my $35 back. I need it,
know.
man.
We did it for you last month. I'm like, well, can you do it again? No, ma'am. You can only do it once a year.
Yeah.
So,
So bold. Oh my God.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
I love that. Like that's so true. And I mean, I feel so close to that too, because it's like I had all of these dreams when I was like using and getting drunk, and I was like, I want to do all these big things and I want to make all this stuff happen, and like I could never do it because I was always wasted and because I was always like doing the same thing, and I was like, I never had the drive or pursuit to go and make it happen. I didn't have the money, I didn't have, and I was like, whatever, I'll do it next time, whatever. And then I get sober, and it's just like whatever I put in front of me, I can get done now, and it's like whether it happens in a couple of days or a couple of weeks.
I'm still a procrastinator, Tim.
Yeah, I'm still a procrastinator for sure, but it gets done. It's like it's in the realm of I can get this done, and like I don't have to worry about other stuff to like to make it happen, and like I don't have to worry about like I got to be drunk to do this.
Yeah. I love like so much of what you just said, because one of the things that, like I said, I realized so many people I'm, involved not only with like this sober community and sobriety coaching, but like also, I get to hear women all the time, like tell me how they're feeling and what they're experiencing. And I joined a Dry January group just to like see what people were saying. So I wanted to help them, So people were like, I'm so bored. What the fuck am I supposed to do now that I'm not drinking? And so many people, and that's the thing. So there's like a few things you can do. So one is like, you're finding yourself again, right?
Yes.
The therapist is always important. The podcasts are important. Mocktails are important. Toilet is important. Like those are my three main things that keep me accountable. Like, yes, my clients do without a doubt, but the bottom line is me. Right?
Yes.
Whether I'm a sobriety
100%.
coach or not, it doesn't matter. Like I have to hold me accountable. Right?
Yes.
And the biggest thing too is like that time and money is scary as fuck in the beginning, because you're like, what am I supposed to do? Like, how am I supposed to function? But you slowly, like little baby steps. Don't think of tomorrow. Literally think of right now. Like this moment, like right now, how can I get through this moment? Can I like go for a walk? Can I walk my dog? Can I take my kids to ice cream? Can I like just call a friend? Can I like go on Google and like Google sober curious? Can I like call someone I haven't talked to in a while? What can I go for a drive? Like, can I listen to music? Can I rock out? Can I go to the gym? Like, there's
so many things.
So many things, right? But like in the beginning, you don't have a fucking idea. And so many people in that Dry January group too.
Yeah.
Were like, I just like rearranged my sock drawer. Well, guess what? Now you know where all your socks are. Like,
now like move on to the next part of your house.
I got my laundry done. My laundry has now been not sitting in the laundry for 3 days and like collecting mildew or whatever. Like, I did finally make that cake I've been wanting to, or like I used that recipe, or like I listened to that podcast, or like the other thing I was going to say is like, so I was talking to a friend of mine today who's pregnant. And she was like asking me how I'm doing with the drinking thing. And I was just like, I fucking love it. Never thought I would. Love it. So I was like, and she goes, I felt the best I felt when I got pregnant. So for like so many women, right? Like you're not drinking when you're pregnant, hopefully, or like a lot or whatever, you got to do you. But I'm just saying most women who talk to me are like, that's the only time I never drank was when I was pregnant, right?
Totally.
And then, so she said, my friend, she said the first week and a half was hard as fuck. And it
Oh
just
yeah,
slowly gets better. And I promise you, it is going to get easier.
it
It's like a
does.
breakup. I also relate it to breaking up all the time. Remember, like that
Totally.
boyfriend you might have had or girlfriend, whatever. Like, remember when you first broke up and you were like, I'm never going to like live without them. And now you're like, wait, what? You know, it's those kinds of things.
Totally.
It's like a breakup, you know, and especially if you have kids,
Mm-hmm.
like the parenting, like I always ask people on my Insta, like in DMs, and I always message people and I'm like, what's your favorite part of sobriety? And like so many people say the same thing. I'm present for my kids. I'm
Yeah.
there now. Like they didn't realize what they were doing, you know?
No. And yeah, and it's, I mean, that is a really good point too. And kind of going back to what you were talking about, it was like, it's very much of the perception of like, now that I'm sober and I'm not drinking, people kind of tie a negative perception to like, oh, it's so boring that I have to rearrange my sock drawer, listen to this podcast, and I'd rather be drinking and X, Y, and Z. And it's like, I found that if you could get past that hump and get over the first like couple of weeks, you know, like for me, it was probably like the first like 2 to 3 weeks. And then I was like, okay, I think I got this. Like after around a month, maybe 2 months, I was like, okay, life is good. Life, you know, it's not, I'm not thinking about using, I'm not thinking about drinking. I think I got this under control. And, you know, it's just like the negative perception that gets tied to the idea of like, my life is going to be so boring. I'm not going to have any friends. I'm going to have to rearrange my sock drawer and hang out on the couch all night. Like, it's because of my negative connotations to those things that are like,
Right.
but in reality, like they're not negative. Like you're just being sober.
And think about
Normal
if you love
people don't do that, you know?
Right. And think about if you love organizing, like organizing your sock drawer is probably making you very excited. Like my Aunt Barbie would be very excited if her sock drawer was, you know, like that's just how, like, and
Totally.
that's the thing, like your hobbies, right? Some people are like, what are my hobbies? I don't fucking, my hobbies are drinking. I go on vacation to drink. I go on a cruise to drink. Well, think about
Gotta
when
find
you
new
were a kid.
hobbies.
What?
Gotta find new hobbies.
Oh yeah. Or, well, that can also be scary for people.
Yes,
But
100%.
yes, 100%, like totally finding new hobbies. But if you're afraid and you don't have any hobbies, I want you to think about
Yes.
what you would do when you were a kid. What did you love to do when you were a kid? Like I loved, in my teenage years, I loved running. I loved riding my bike when I was a kid. Like you get to be free again. Like there's just this freedom that you don't realize that alcohol is holding you back, and you don't have to drink every day to feel this way. Like I was drinking every day. I have tons of people who weren't drinking every day, but like they wanted to try to experience this life. And like you don't have, like, yes, you have to be accountable, right? You still need those your jewels in your jewelry box, right? Or tools in your toolbox. And I have so many. And for me, my top 3 are Mocktails podcasts and Quit Lit. Like that's the big part of mine. And right now this has always like been my very favorite. This is called We Are the Luckiest by Laura McCowan. You can see it actually came from the library and I never gave it back, so I paid for it. And like this is one of my favorite books because she's a mama. I'm not a mama. I'm a teacher. I'm an aunt. I'm an aunt bestie. But like this just kind of gives you perception about like if like it can happen to you. It doesn't matter who you are. Like it's okay that you fucked up. It's okay that like it's not okay, but like it is okay, right? You have to give yourself permission and grace. Like you have to forgive yourself.
Yes.
And like push off from here, which is Laura McCowan's next book. And it's so amazing because she's drunk and then she gets sober and then she fucks up again. And someone says like, you got to push off from here. And that's all we can do. That is like the biggest thing. Like I can beat myself up about what happened last night if I'm hungover, but all I can do is push off from here. I can go to the store and maybe like go find a cocktail. Like if you have a Whole Foods near you, Whole Foods is like a ridiculous amount of non-alcoholic stuff. Like huge amount. Even gas stations are like, and don't get me wrong, a lot of people are like, what is it, flavored sparkling water? Sure.
Yes, it is.
All of that. But it's like in a beautiful bottle, and it's like natural flavors, and a lot of them have like adaptogens now and like other things to chill you the fuck out. So
Oh yeah. So why was it difficult for you to be accountable when you were drinking?
I think because I didn't realize that I needed to be.
Totally.
So many times, this was a big lesson I learned during my like sober curious phase when I was trying to figure out like how to change things. And like for like 8 years, right? I went to AA and like that was it. And then I started listening to podcasts and other things that helped me. But like a big eye opener for me. So my husband, I'd go a couple days. I'd be like, I'm sober. I'm not going to drink. Bleh. I'm like, not going to drink. I'm not going to drink. And then like 2 days later, I'd be like, fuck it. 3 days later, I'd be like, fuck it. So for like 8 years, I couldn't get past a week. And then,
yes, I feel that.
Right. And I wasn't drinking every day, all day. I was managing a career. I have a car. I have a job. I have a house. I have a husband. Like I have all of these things. Like it doesn't matter whether you're like 18 or 80, like you can still be dealing with this. It doesn't matter whether you're like a teacher or you're a custodian. Like we're all amazing. We're all the same. We're all human beings. We're all human beings. We all are human beings, like trying to just like live our best life. And I remember like saying all the time, like, and he would always be like, what's different this time? What's different this time? And I would be like, he doesn't believe in me. Right.
And
I was like, I shouldn't have someone, I shouldn't be with someone who doesn't believe in me. Until I heard an episode on a podcast, actually of Recovery Elevator. And this woman was talking about, she has a son and he's like 17, 18 years old. And she would say the same thing to him. And he would always be like, Mom, what's different this time? Mom, what's different this time? And I was like, oh, listen.
Damn. Okay.
Right? So like, if you have a phone in front of you and I keep taking your phone from you, right? I keep stealing your phone from you, right? And I'm like, I don't have your phone. I don't know what you're talking about. You keep finding your phone right in my hands. And then one day, right? So like if this is happening on a consistent basis, right? I keep stealing from you, but you're like, oh, she has a good heart. I want to help her. I want to be with her, blah, right? And then one day but I still take your phone. And then like one day I don't give it back, or I don't take your phone, right? Actually, don't take your phone. And then eventually you're going to trust me again. Right?
Yes.
But if I'm telling you all the time, I'm like taking your fucking phone, you're not going to, why would you believe me?
Yeah.
Right?
Like she's just going to do it again.
She's the boy who cried wolf. So I didn't realize that's what I was doing to my husband, and like getting it from a mom's perspective, because I know lots of moms that drink. Lots of moms that it doesn't matter, again, whether you have a kid, whether you don't have a kid, you're going to drink. Like there's a lot of reasons why people are drinking. Their kids stress them out. There's mommy juice. Oh, it's Halloween. There's a kids party. There's this, there's that. So like,
so many reasons, right? So many, and like so many different events that also like drinking becomes social, like a social thing at those events too. And it becomes acceptable, like I remember I was at like, oh man, I was at like a baseball game or a soccer game of one of my friends' kids, and like everyone was drinking. All of the parents were all drinking at the baseball game, and I'm like, dude, like how are these people like not getting tickets or arrested, or because it's like, and I don't get that, it's crazy to me that that's just so socially acceptable. And like, this is how parents hang out. We like drink and we hang out at the baseball game, and then we go to my house and have a barbecue.
But I was doing the same thing. Like I was doing the same exact thing. And I know tons of moms that do. And there's nothing, it's just because it's so pushed by society. It's the cool thing to do. This is how I socialize. Right? Yeah. And it's okay because people are learning. And hopefully this episode and you and I will help open people's eyes and be like, oh shit. Like I'm drinking and then I'm driving my kid home. Like,
yes, which
yeah,
is putting their life in danger.
right. But you're not thinking that way. That's not what I was thinking either.
Oh no,
I was
no way.
fine, I could drive. Like, I wasn't thinking about anybody else but myself, and not on purpose. Right? Not
Yeah,
on
it's because
purpose.
just stuck in your own shit, you know, and like,
Stuck in your own shit and not
and it's
realizing.
yeah, and it goes to like that selfishness of like, I'm not worried about anyone else's stuff, because it goes back to the problem of like, well, you know, like I need to just take care of myself right now, and I'm just trying to feel good and do my own thing, and it's crazy because I didn't realize how many people I was hurting. And like, if I would have got in like a car accident when I was messed up and like have died or lost my legs or something, like I imagine that would have hurt a lot of people to be like, dude, if you weren't drinking and driving, you would have been okay. And it's like, I'm thankful that didn't happen, right? But still, it's the point of like, I think of all these moms driving home from their kids' events and they're drunk and
Any
like,
parents.
like husband, wife, whoever's taking care of the kids, driving home, getting pulled over. Like, what are your kids gonna think when you get arrested?
Yeah.
Like, what are your kids gonna think when you get pulled out of the car by a cop and like, oh, where's dad going? Dad going to
like,
jail?
Even worse. And I think like it's because like we're not thinking about it because we don't think it's going to happen to us.
Yes.
That happened to that dirtbag in high school. That happened to that like loser mom that used to drink all the time, every day, all day.
It gets attached to the stigma of being an alcoholic.
I was just
that person was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen to me.
That's not me. I don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I only drink at home. That's the other thing. I have a very good friend who, like, for years, she's not a heavy drinker anyway, but like she never drank at home because she's like, what if there's an emergency? Like, what if something happens? And I'm like, oh shit. Like, I never thought about that. Because some people are like, I'm home. Like, even if you're not, like, even if you don't have kids, right? Like, what was I was talking to somebody else about this. Like, one of the like shit shows I had before I like chose to stop drinking was I was home. Everything was fine. I wasn't going to this event that I ended up going to because I had a bottle of Prosecco, not a bottle of toast. I had a bottle of Prosecco. And I was like, I'm fine. And then once that bottle of Prosecco, I was like, fuck it. I got to go get another bottle. And then went to go to a friend's house and like basically put myself in a big fat mess, you know? And like, I don't believe in like a rock bottom. Like, I don't believe in that. I don't feel like you have to have a rock bottom. I feel like if this podcast is resonating with you, if any of this resonates with you, if there's a little tiny piece, a little tap on your shoulder, a little whisper in your ear of that, like, you can relate to, right? That's your sign. Like, let us help you.
Yes,
right? Like,
100%.
Let us help you. You are not alone. And if this is like resonating with you, someone else that you know, share it with them, right? Like, it's just this, it's
Love
just,
that.
you're not alone. Like, that is always the biggest thing. You are not alone. Little baby steps. And you don't need, like, of course I want you to want me and need me, but you have to have jewels in your jewelry box too. And if you have no idea what the fuck that means, if you have no tools in your toolbox, then totally, you know, and here's the other thing. As a sobriety coach, you call me, we talk on the phone 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We just decide there is no pressure. You are not wasting my time. You are not wasting your time. You can say like, nope, fuck this. I don't want to get sober. No, thanks. Like, and that's not even what we're doing. I'm not guaranteeing sobriety. You know, I'm a sobriety coach, but I'm not guaranteeing sobriety because this is your path, right? Like, it's their path. Yes. Sometimes like calling myself a sobriety coach because this is about us together, right? But like, that is what I focus on because I was there and like, that's my favorite part. And like, when people say like, why should I choose you? Because this is all about you. Like, I give everybody the same resource. Yes. But like, it's called the Wheel of Life. But like, this is all about you, right? So like, this is the first activity you do. And then we end up breaking things down and you will see you will see what alcohol is doing to you. And
Mm.
one thing that I love about relating to people is like what I was saying earlier about the boss's uncle. Like it made me laugh because I know exactly what she's talking about. And it wasn't until she said it out loud to me that she was like, oh, right?
Yeah,
Because I was doing the
totally.
same thing. And like I give you lots of tips and tricks because I did it for so long. And I know that women are out there and they want this help. And that's what I'm here for, is like to
Oh,
do
yeah.
that and to share my love for the world. And like, just, you know, with the clients that I have, the accountability is like when you say, like, this doesn't feel right. Like, I know I'm not going to drink. I know I shouldn't drink. And then you start drinking again. Like, that's your like saying, like, this is something that I need to address.
Yes.
Again, like the clients that I have, like, it's not an overnight process. It's like, let's talk about what's going to work for you. Do you have to, like, instead of taking, like, I have one client, right? So she walks to the train every day. She would walk to the train. She would stop at the liquor store every day to the train. Now we came up with some solutions for her. So now one of the things she does is she has like a whole list of podcasts that she really loves. She puts her headphones in, she listens to her podcast about wellness, and she's also working on her weight. So she eats like almonds or nuts or like chips. So there's like a lot of going on. There's this all sorts of stimulation because no matter what
stimulation. Yeah.
she's gonna pass a liquor store, right?
Yes.
Like,
It's like if you're not thinking about it, like
you're not thinking about it, it's just a habit. And like I have another client who same thing, because people are like, how am I gonna, like, you know, oh, don't walk past the liquor store, don't drive past the liquor store. They sell like so much shit at the gas stations now. Not
gas
just,
stations,
like,
yeah.
not just shitty beer, but like they
sell full strength beer now.
Yeah, they sell White Claw. They sell like, I actually did not get in the Truly, right? So like you have to think about prior to getting in that car. Like that's what we do. We back it up, just like I do in teaching, right? You have a kid who's throwing a chair. Well, instead of like taking all the chairs away from him, you need to back up and saying like, why is he throwing the chair? Like what's triggering him to throw the chair, right? You can't say like, oh, let me go into the gas station and then make that decision. So like one of the things that happened with the client was she got into an argument with someone. She talked about something that was very stressful, got in the car, stopped at the gas station. So now we're going to talk about what could you have done next time? And that's what it is. It's all about like that research field work, right? Okay, you slipped up. That's okay. Like I did too. I was 2 years and 2 months and I slipped up. And I just actually want to jump in about that really quick because that's a really big part of the accountability. So I was sober for 2 years and 2 months and I wasn't really listening to podcasts at that time. I definitely was not using AA. I was just like drinking mocktails and reading Quit Lit a little bit here and there. I wasn't like really doing much for my sobriety. I just was like, I got this. I'm fine. Whatever. 2 years, 2 months. So my husband and I, July 22, Sunset Cruise, Mediterranean, just got married, very like private boat situation because guess what? YOLO. And I have more money now. Right? So, and then the captain was like, oh, we have soda, we have blah, 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 blah. We have Prosecco. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Prosecco was like, I just like right back. So I was like, like, and I remember saying to my husband, I was like, and this is the same guy I've been with. He was my boyfriend for years and years. He proposed and we got married in that sobriety, by the way, in those 2 years and 2 months. So many amazing things happened. I tell you. So we were on the cruise. And so I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I said to him, I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And he said to me, I can't tell you what to do. And I was like, but you have to, right? Just like you have to pull me out of the bar, right? And it's so funny because at that time, right? Well, okay, so let me finish. So he says, like, I can't tell you what to do. And I'm like, okay. So at first I'm like, you have to. And he's like, I can't tell you what to do. And I was like, what? So then my head was like going back and forth. And I'm like, okay, here's the deal. I'm either going to drink this glass of Prosecco and I'm going to be fine, or I'm going to make out with someone on this boat that is not necessarily my husband. That is what went on in my head.
Shit.
And I was like,
yeah,
okay.
that's good.
So started drinking the Prosecco. I did end up being okay that specific night.
But then, like, it happened again, right? Like, next time that...
Yeah, it happened again. I drank the whole time in Spain, had some regrets there, came back to the States, had some regrets here, and then after 2 big fuck-ups in December and February, I finally said I'm done. So in February of 23, I was like, I can't live like this anymore. And then after being on a podcast about moderation, a lot of women reached out to me, and I was like, I'm turning this into a business. Like, I'm doing this. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because when my husband listened to that podcast, he said to me, I wish I said not to drink. I wish I told you no. And I said, I'm so glad you didn't. Because what's interesting is, like, it's the same thing. Like, how many drinks did you have? 2. You know damn well that they're not having 2 drinks. I know that now about, like, people, right? Like, we, you know, so, and because that mindset shifted, right? So, like, after that 1 drink, I actually ended up being okay for that at that point. And when we got back, as we were going back to the dock, we still had like 20 minutes before we were talking. And I said to my husband, I want another glass of Prosecco. Now, I had not drank in 2 years, 2 months. This is my second drink after 2 years and 2 months. And he says to me, why don't you wait till we get off the boat? And immediately I was like, fuck you. Immediately I went back to that mindset, and I was like, I listened to him. And then as soon as we got off the boat, I drank. But like, it was very hard. It was very hard. And I that's that mindset that, like, I know that I have, that, like, that was what was so hard for me to get sober, but also to stay, like, get sober. But, like, I just didn't trust myself. Like, 3 out of 10 times, like, I'm fucking something up.
Yeah, no, and I could totally relate to that. And yeah, no, this is great. This is a great conversation for sure. And it's like it's crazy because it seems like a lot of people that I talk to that have had like a relapse after some time of being sober, that's like the shift that they need. And, like, you know, they get some time and then they have a relapse and then they're like, oh my God, like, this is destroying my life doing this, you know? And it's great that that switch clicks. And then, like, that could have been the event that has triggered you to, like, stay sober, you know, and who knows how long you'll stay sober for, right? Like, I just think that that was a great story and a great way to put that. Like, that was awesome. That's good stuff.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's awesome.
I would definitely say the biggest thing for accountability is, like, yourself, right? What I want to say just really quick is, like, the women, specifically why I made that post was because the women the women I was talking to that day were both at 12 days.
Oof.
Which was awesome, which is such a big deal. It's 12 days is so
12 days is huge. Like, that's a long time.
Like, I couldn't get past, like, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days for so long until I found the community and, like, other people and, like, resources and tools and jewels in my jewelry box and, like,
tools in your jewel box.
Right? Isn't that better than tools in your toolbox? Well, I mean,
I like it.
That's what I came up with. But anyway, so, like, but this is how they're staying sober. They're staying sober because they're coming to the sober community. They're coming to the support circles. They're reaching out for help. They're interacting in the app. They're, like, talking to someone. They're telling people. And, like, you know, I could talk about this for 100 more years.
Hell yeah.
I want to go on to, like, a whole nother tangent about, like, what to do in the beginning. But, you know, follow me, follow Tim. We have lots of good advice. You know, you can always call me. There's a link in bio. You can always DM me, you know, whatever you want. Like, this is up to you. And, like, I have my prices, but I also have a sliding scale because I'm here to help you. Like, I want to share my message with the world because I felt so alone for so long.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, that's so great. Yeah. Go give Michelle a follow. Unfortunately, that is all of the time we have today. Thank you so much, Michelle, for the amazing conversation. yeah, go give her a follow on Instagram. She is at Sober Virgo Woman, all one word on Instagram. Follow her. If you need a sober coach, she's there for you. Go message her. Also message me if you're trying to figure out, like, how do I get sober? How do I get 1 or 2 days? How do I get past X, Y, and Z? Like, shoot either of us a message, because like we're here to help you guys out. Now, also, this podcast is 100% free. You don't have to pay or listen, but what you can do is subscribe on YouTube, give me a share, give me a like. Make sure someone who might need to hear this today will hear it. You can also head over to www.thelastdropclothingco.com. This is my sobriety influence clothing brand tied directly to this podcast. So yeah, go pick up a shirt, go pick up a hoodie, a hat, and that is also another way that you can support this podcast in here. And we're just trying to end the stigma of addiction. So thank you all for listening, and thank you so much, Michelle, for jumping on here with me today. It was great talking to you, and I'm glad we have this conversation and have this connection now. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. If you're not on Instagram, you can grab me at sobervirgowoman@gmail too. Virgo Woman.
Yeah, shoot her a message. And yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. Please like, share, do all the things, share it with someone who might need to hear this. And yeah, stay tuned. Next week we'll have another episode dropping. Every Friday there will be a new episode, so be sure to tune in. And thank you everyone for listening. Thank you again, Michelle. I really appreciate it.
Cheers to me. Here's to being alcohol free.
Hell yeah, definitely. Have a good sober weekend, everyone.